When the UK Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson visited Nigeria 2 weeks ago with the UK Secretary for International Development, Priti Patel, they got a first-hand experience of the situation in the IDP camps in Borno State. Mrs. Patel announced £200 million of aid funding over the next 4 years for Nigeria, but said as for help to the internally displaced people in the northeast, the Nigerian government needs to do more. However, during my chat with her, she dispelled rumours that the UK was halving humanitarian aid money to Nigeria. Secretary Patel, thank you so much for speaking with us. You announced yesterday a new humanitarian aid package for Nigeria, which was worth £200 million. And then there's this news making the rounds that the UK plans to cut aid to Nigeria over the next 4 years.
So that's wrong. That is completely wrong. I have not said we are cutting aid, so I don't know where that has come from at all. I think we should look at the facts here. Northeast Nigeria is suffering one of the worst humanitarian crises in the world. I gave £100 million of British taxpayers' money last year to the humanitarian catastrophe, to the crisis that is taking place in northeast Nigeria. I saw it myself yesterday when I visited Borno State, and I announced £200 million, which has been front-loaded. That is me front-loading money for the humanitarian crisis. That is not a cut to the budget at all. That is me putting more money in, £200 million on top of the existing money that is already in DFID, Nigeria. But that is very specific to the appalling humanitarian crisis that is taking place.
Well, you were at one of the IDP camps in Borno State yesterday. Are you satisfied with how aid money has been expended?
Well, I think it's not about being satisfied about how the aid money is being spent. My department and UK taxpayers and the British government are helping to keep people alive every day across northeast Nigeria. That is something that, we are not only proud of, but I think actually that is a reflection of the desperate situation and the desperate conditions that currently exist across the state because of the conflict and because of the humanitarian crisis. I've also said that I think everyone needs to do more. I think the international community needs to do more. I think the Nigerian government needs to do more. But also, when it comes to aid effectiveness, I want to see all the aid agencies. I was told yesterday there are 69 agencies on the ground. I want to see them being much more effective, much more coordinated, working closely with the government and ensuring that every pound and every dollar goes the extra mile in terms of how that money is spent when it comes to saving lives in the state.
Well, you've also heard about aid workers who were attacked at one of the IDP camps. Are you concerned about the security of aid workers in these circumstances?
Well, of course, the situation in the northeast is a man-made crisis. It exists because of the instability, thanks to Boko Haram, thanks to terrorism. Now, the scourge of terrorism obviously has an impact upon people and people's lives, and that's exactly what we've seen. So yes, aid workers, humanitarian workers are obviously under threat and at risk. And I spent time yesterday speaking to the people and the aid distribution centres who are effectively looking at working with the military, Nigerian military, to protect and secure aid convoys and the lives of people that are in the front line delivering that aid.
There are Nigerians amongst the migrants who are crossing the Mediterranean into Europe. How is the UK government helping to keep people from making that dangerous trip?
Well, I think there are a number of issues here. First of all, the Nigerian population and the Nigerian economy needs more jobs, it needs more growth. And the problem is that, of course, the growth of the economy, there are not enough jobs to sustain the population, which is why people are moving. But actually, I think from my visit today, I've seen some harrowing encounters, some absolutely appalling examples of women that have been abused, sexually exploited, who have become trafficked to Europe for sex and prostitution. And that's where the UK government are stepping up. That is where we are working to try and stop that work and provide the support to those girls. They're not even women, some of them are children from the age of 7 years old, to stop them from being trafficked. I think it's absolutely appalling what I have heard and seen today. And as a result, I think the Nigerian government will need to do much more in this area.
Do you think having more women in government would help?
Well, I'm a believer in that, and I think this evening's reception has all been about women and economic empowerment. You've heard me say very clearly this evening, I think where women lead, everyone else will follow, and I think female leadership, whether it's in business or in politics, and I've worked in business myself, at either scale, in whatever sector, we can be great role models for other women, but also we can make decisions that represent women and stand up for the rights of women and stand up for those whose voices are not heard in, the echelons of politics or in business as well.
Secretary Patel, thank you once again.